As we exit the room. So let's get started and do a quick voice ID, starting with Francis on my left. If you would just say your name for transcribing.
Yeah, Francis Lawrence, director.
Josh Hutcherson, actor.
Jennifer Lawrence, doctor.
Liam Hemsworth.
Nina Jacobson, producer.
Great. Question right here.
Two questions. One for, well, first of all, congratulations on a great ending. And starting with Jennifer, could you talk about your last moments as Katniss? And for Josh, can you talk about how you did the great job of dual pitas?
Whoa. That was a
Fire-breathing dragon. I feel like I kind of had two final endings with Katniss. The one when we wrapped the film in Berlin,
And the one when
with
she
everybody.
dies.
Oh my God. With everybody, and Woody and Josh and Liam and everyone was there, and that was kind of saying goodbye to the movie. And then I had a last scene about a year later with my nephews, which was so special. They played my children. Am I allowed to say this?
Sure.
Okay. They played my children in the scene that
And
we
mine.
shot. So it was like this amazing closure to this character who I've loved for so many years, to have my family there, my blood family instead of this family. I got to say goodbye to both. Different times.
Yeah, for me, it was cool. This was like the final episode that I was looking forward to when I read the books. Where Peeta kind of is hijacked and becomes tortured and all these things. And it was cool to take a character that has like such a special place for like the fans. Take that kind of character that everybody loves so much, as this golden boy or whatever, and turn him into that dark side and kind of explore that while also having the like back and forth kind of being quasi bipolar from all the trauma that he's experienced.
Debbie, question.
Congratulations, all of you. An amazing job, an amazing journey going along with all of you for the ride. But I want to ask Francis, the tonal bandwidth, emotionally and visually, has been very important to this franchise from the very beginning. But we see a definitive shift in this final installment in terms of more of Katniss coming into her own and thinking for herself with a future. How did you incorporate that emotional shift into your visual dynamics?
Wow, it's funny. I didn't really think about sort of a shift in visual dynamics in this movie based on her character. I mean, Katniss has always been the anchor for me. She's sort of our eyes into this world, and we're following her, and she's the anchor in every sequence and every scene. And so, for me, visually, but it's throughout all the movies, I'm sort of anchored to her. So we're usually walking into rooms with her and seeing other people talk from her, point of view. And the big difference tonally and emotionally really is just with her journey itself in the movie, but it didn't really affect my visual approach at all.
Jennifer, could you talk a little bit, go back to that last scene. When you finally wrapped, could you just talk about sort of the ending of the character? Was it like accomplishment, I've done what I can with her, or was it a little kind of bittersweet that I'm giving up this character now?
I don't know. I think the feeling of accomplishment will probably happen more when the film finally comes out. As, we're not really done working on it in some ways. We still have to represent it. And I don't know. I didn't really feel like I said goodbye to her. It's funny. I mean, that's what we do on every movie, is we develop these characters, and a few months later, you never see them again. So I guess I'm used to that. So I didn't really feel it so much character-wise at the end of Hunger Games. I think it'll be pretty bizarre when the movie's finally out and we finish this press tour and everything's officially done. I think that's going to be a pretty weird feeling just on a personal level. These movies have been my life for so many years.
Congratulations on the film. The sewer sequence, how many days were you guys, did you get spent wet? Was your costume at all waterproof? And for Mr. Lawrence, what was that like shooting this action scene in such a claustrophobic environment?
It was absolutely the most miserable 3 weeks, I think, in the three
So happy you
movies.
said it.
In the
Was
three
it only
movies.
3 weeks? It was only 3 weeks?
No,
I feel like
mean,
I'm
it
still
felt
there.
like 9 weeks, but it was about 3 weeks. It was really truly miserable. it's kind of a fun sequence to make, in a sense, and to sort of put together and see how it comes together. But you know, these tunnels, you had to duck. We all had to wear hard hats. The water was heated, so it made everything
Poor
humid.
Liam couldn't stand up straight for 3 weeks.
Yeah, it made it humid.
Josh and I
It
were
was
like-
smoky.
Just constantly.
Yeah, it was wet. It was miserable. Everybody was miserable.
And the thing is, like, the
It
costumes
was-
were not at all waterproof.
No, they're not at all
And they had
waterproof.
pockets that would actually just
would
like
fill with
hold
water.
in water.
But
Yeah.
it was, when we get to the fight sequence, sorry, we're all just like complaining. But we had a ball, we're very lucky. But when we had the fight sequence in the sewer, you know, all of our gear and our costumes were completely waterlogged. So it was like an extra 20 pounds, I don't know math, but felt like an extra 2,000, I don't know, pounds. Yeah, it was hard, it was rough. But
It's a-
Francis is so organized.
Yeah, but it's actually interesting because it's something they don't really teach you in film school, that when you get to a certain point and you're, you know, 7 months into, you know, an 11-month shoot, and you hit a sequence like this, and the mood and morale of the crew and the cast hits a rock bottom, what it's like psychologically to sort of push through those kinds of things, those kinds of experiences to get what you need. And, you know, it was on time, it was on schedule, although it was just truly miserable.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy with the results.
I remember like towards the end of that
So
whole
now you
sequence.
forget the pain.
Yeah, it was just at the end of that sequence, it was just like, oh my God, we have more shots to do. Like, because that final room, it felt like it was just never ending. Yeah. Whatever. I liked
Right
it.
here.
Philadelphia Daily News. My question is for Jennifer. First, great job by everyone. Great film, loved it. I think you're acting, Jennifer, in this film. Your range shows that you're on your way to a Meryl Streepian career, and and I just want to say that your performance in this film and this series cements Katniss Everdeen as an iconic figure, like Indiana Jones and Rocky Balboa. I know I have a teen friend of mine. Her mom and dad both have cancer, and she still lights up when she's looking forward to the new Hunger Games movies. And she's like, "Well, Katniss would still smile. Katniss wouldn't give up." So you do have an impact in that way. So I guess my question just is, you know, this has had such an impact, and these movies have been so successful. Catching Fire, I believe, was the first female-led movie to be #1 at the box office since 1969, and has helped other female movies get made. So with that, I mean, what do you feel? Do you feel the impact, A, of this character, and B, since we always look toward the future, there's rumors that Marvel Studios really wants you to be their Captain Marvel. Would you ever want to do that, combine, you know, playing that sandbox with Bradley and Chris Pratt and all of those people?
I would love to play in a sandbox with them. But first of all, thank you. That's the nicest thing I've ever heard in my life. Thank you. I feel the impact of being a part of such a huge movie that does so much for so many people. I mean, it would be impossible not to, and I think that this character is so overwhelmingly supportive of women, obviously, and is iconic. I don't feel a personal impact, like I haven't, and I think that if you ever become aware of that, then it kind of takes away from it a little bit. So it's just kind of, it's the movie and the characters, and they kind of have their own life, and it's kind of like your avatar self. I don't know.
Yeah.
You
did good.
Question right here.
Yes, Liam. Two-part question. Say, do you feel a bit down or sad because you didn't get the girl at the end? And also, what do you think about the evolution of your character? Because now Gail has turned just somebody who's kind of cold-hearted, like thinking collateral damages in war. You know, it happens. So those are my questions.
Yeah, I don't feel down. Actually feel pretty happy. No, I mean, you know, obviously I'd read the books too, so I always knew that was going to happen at the end.
You did question it, though. You did
yeah.
that in rehearsal, and you going to like, I don't get it.
Is there any way
What's so bad about him?
He's a good guy, apart from all the killing and stuff. But, yeah, he gets pretty angry towards the end. You know, he's been through a lot, and for a long time, you know, really didn't have any power to do anything. And you know, through this last part, he's front and center and is able to really make an impact. And I think it all kind of goes to his head a little bit, and he loses sight of his own morals and values. And that's kind of why, you know, Gale and Katniss sort of part ways, I guess. You know, they have a strong disagreement about what's right in war. And that's something that, in the end, Katniss can't really let go.
Thank you. Question here.
Hi, you guys look great, by the way. You know, the Hunger Games series is originally for young adults, and a lot of them look up to you as people and your characters in the movie. What do you hope that young people will take away from this film?
I mean, for me, a message that's always resonated that I think is pretty strong is about standing up for what you believe in, and how one person has the ability to affect something. You know, that one person can stand up and get behind a cause or what they believe in and fight for it. So I think that those are pretty strong messages. I hope that fans take. And I think they have. I think that's why they connected with it in a way, because it empowered them and it gave them a sense of empowerment. That's what empowering them means. So yeah, so I think that for me, like that's something that I really hope people take away from it. And the consequence of war, obviously. You know, I think Katniss is a character who wants nothing more than to not have war. But unfortunately, I think in the last, you know, finale of the film, she kind of realizes that's where it's headed, and that's what has to be done in order to have a revolution.
Nina, as someone who clearly, you know, took this from book to screen and has been with the whole series, what do you think the legacy is, and what do you think the takeaway is for that younger audience?
Well, I do think that the notion of social change and the possibility that, you know, defiance in the face of injustice and kindness in the face of cruelty, that I think young people, I think that the sort of popularity of, you know, dystopic fiction speaks to an anxiety that young people feel about the future that awaits them. And what I find so hopeful in these books and in these movies is the fact that you can create change, and that you can refuse to play the game and see your world change as a result. And I think that also the voice of young women and their power to change the world and their world, and to be the spokesperson for that kind of change has been something that certainly Jen has risen to the occasion of, and that I hope young people, whether they're boys or girls, will rise to that occasion and change the world, because we need to do that.
Hi, congratulations. I think it's a very satisfying ending. Now, in another lifetime, if they're remaking Mockingjay, what other part would you play that you maybe admired throughout the filmmaking?
I mean, I've always loved Haymitch, but Woody's perfect, so I don't know. Snow would be kind of cool too.
Be hard to top Haymitch.
Yeah, I mean, there wouldn't be a topping.
He is that guy.
Yeah.
Apart from, he's not a drunk alcoholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, that's not a compliment.
No. I just mean his loving sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah, probably Haymitch.
Question over here.
This question is for the producer and Jennifer. I was wondering if this one is already set for release in China, because last time it didn't, it delayed it, and Jennifer didn't get to go. I was wondering if this time you can go to Beijing. What do you expect there? Do you want to try some, like a traditional Chinese food or some experience?
Well, I mean, we were all really disappointed last time. We were excited to go, and, you know, we had such an incredible experience with the fans of this franchise. I've been thinking about it a lot and talking to people about it. You know, oftentimes when something is beloved, it provokes haters somehow. There's like, those two things have to live alongside each other, especially in the era of, you know, kind of all the internet chatter. And we've been very lucky in that we don't have the haters. We have incredibly supportive, smart, passionate, inspired fan base, and we haven't gotten the chance to experience that in China yet. And it's a place to get to go and interact with the fans there, and to get to see this movie have a life there that we get a chance to witness this time is something I think we're all really excited about.
Azumi?
Hello. My question is for Jennifer. Your character choose stop fighting. Actually, it's kind of peace came. So and she go back to hometown and make a family, and more like a peaceful and ordinary people's lifestyle she choose, but Gail did not. So how affects you yourself? In the future, you're kind of thinking to going back hometown, more like a peaceful life, and sometimes work to come back to the Hollywood, or you stay more like a tinsel town. You kind of stay there, and making family, or more like a ordinary people lifestyle. You kind of think that way. Or
I think we all have had to find a balance in feeling ordinary in our lives that are, bizarre, and finding a home, and where in a place where we weren't born. I don't really feel like escaping from anything. When I finish a movie, I still like to stay in New York or LA, and I enjoy working. I don't really feel there's certain things that I like to escape from in this business, but for the most part, I don't really feel like going, oh, I'm like going off into the country. If I was like someplace quiet, I would just like lose my mind. I'm sure one day I will, and I'll want to retire and slow down. But as of now, I love working. I love being busy. I love reading or writing or doing anything to keep myself busy.
Hi, Nina, you talked about social change and young women speaking up and using their voices. And Jennifer, I know you just wrote a Lenny letter about not making as much as your male co-stars.
No, that's not.
And I wonder if you would talk a little bit about what prompted you to write that and why you did that.
I would love to like straighten up that I wasn't writing about not. I mean, yes, I did not make as much as my male co-stars. It wasn't so much as a complaining about, I wasn't getting paid more because I'm a woman. It was more of how did my mentality get in my own way of, fighting just as hard as the men to get a better deal. Is that because I'm a woman? As the only point of view I have is from a woman's point of view. And so, there definitely wasn't any foul play involved, on Sony's part. They're not going to give somebody more money if they don't ask for it. No foul play from the men or anybody making that movie. A lot of, things have to be rearranged, and exceptions have to be made when you're going to have that many movie stars in one movie. I hoped to just write kind of more about how my own fears of how am I going to be portrayed, or how am I going to look, or how will people judge me, got in my way when, obviously the men in the movie don't think that way. And, even after writing it, there's still, it's been called, I don't remember what website it was, but like called it Jennifer Lawrence's bratty display. And I was like, thank you for completely making my point that if a woman goes, and speaks up and is assertive and has a voice, she's going to be called a brat, or going to be called, I just don't see a man being called a brat. But